There's something going on with the moon tonight. I don't know if anyone else has really noticed. It's just a sliver moon. It's a waxing sliver moon, yet even just a sliver moon, there's something up with it tonight. Something going on with it tonight. It feels a bit, to me, it feels a bit more quiet, like heavy, sort of somber in a way, very serious, and just sort of a silence. Like, I don't know if anyone else gets that, but I get like a very hushed, and it's not quite a sigh of relief. It's a different tension. So, a different kind of tension. And as an astrologer, what do is I go to the charts, not just an astrologer. First thing I do is I tell people this is I pray. I'm a prayer. Uh, I meditate. I get quiet. I pray. I seek to do the right thing from my heart first. I don't seek around the things outside me first. But speaking of the things outside you, seeking around is just the nature of this moon too has something to do a little bit with distraction. Distraction, and if I can, a bit of. I mean, this has been ubiquitous. This trial, it's finally done. It's been all over the place, in our face. So distraction and kind of like delusion, maybe, if is delusion the right word? Delusion, or just like an enchantment, like a spell, being in a spell woven, and what's more spell weaving than especially like Hollywood enchanting and like mystifying and just hypnotizing is a good word, hypnotic. And we've been hypnotized. I haven't watched almost any of this trial. I've but so much of everyone else has just been hypnotized by this thing, just pulled in, and like it's everywhere, just everywhere, and it's distraction. It is total intentional distraction, to the point that I can tell you Amber Heard crying and losing and stuff doesn't even matter. Literally, I watched one day of this trial, a little bit, um, just literally killing time. I caught some of it in the news, and was like, okay, no, it's just sorry, it's not my thing. So I went back to my art and my music, and I watched as people. This was all they were talking about for a while, especially because it is such a hot button issue. It's been a hot button issue, and even though the trial is done, people are going to be watching it, rewatching it, um, talking about it almost the way they talk about seasons of The Walking Dead that are already done now, and going back and revisiting it and having spin-offs of it, on and on and on. And it's just it's distraction to the point that it doesn't matter if Amber Heard can pay the debt because of all the books that are about to come out now. She's about to make so much money off the books now. He is about to make so much more money from the spin-offs and stuff, and he's going to write his own books, no doubt, and probably have. He's going to get more than just a book because he won and he's the bigger star. He's been the more bigger beloved star thanks to Disney and Pirates and stuff, and was before then with just the most famous movies of all time. So, but yeah, distraction, creating that sleight of hand, like the moon waxes and wanes, ebbs and flows, and we're talking about something going on here where what's going on is what I'm seeing is just, yeah, it's related to the moon. Look, the moon isn't Cancer. The moon is Cancer. I was just saying, and Black Moon Lilith is moon related, even though not an actual moon, but something to do with a point in space in our zodiac. In Ceres, which is an actual body, is a secondary asteroid. And Ceres is called the cerebral moon. So you've got three times hitting hard with the moon in the sign of the moon, opposite. Where is it? I'll just be opposite Pluto in retrograde. Um, Oops, moving the wrong thing here. Opposite Pluto retrograde. Check this out. Pluto retrograde in the sign, generational sign, long standing. Pluto is generational in the sign of Capricorn. So we're talking about a thing that very much talks about the age, what's going on with the age. Now, the generational, the essence of a generation, the message of a generation, the theme of a generation. And I could say one of the things that might make that idea more palpable to people and help understand is Pluto in Scorpio. Pluto in Scorpio was so strong because Pluto ruled Scorpio. Look what happened when Pluto was in Scorpio through much of the 80s. And the 80s was just such a big defining, especially through horror movies. And what are we seeing in the media right now is Stranger Things, one of the most successful shows that even isn't Netflix or Hulu or anywhere else. And it's so 80s based, and it's huge 80s culture. Sorry if I'm driving you crazy with that. But so what was the 80s was just so occult, and horror was bigger than ever. The music, Michael Jackson's Thriller, it's just we all were experiencing this collective vault popping off, this something collective at work underneath us with wanting to explore so much more the supernatural elements. And the shows that were coming out were more and more popular, having to deal with the supernatural and the scary aspect, like vampires. And zombies finally started to get big in the 80s, and now look what's going on with the renaissance of all the zombie stuff. And the music just had more of like a magical, you might say, almost like how do you want to put this? I don't know. It was just, music was more kind of spooky music, more just the overall power of the music in the 80s defined so much that people in the 90s and in the 2000s were going back and listening to the 80s stuff still, because there was just something so magnetically potent. I would say potent. And it's what were we breaking into with the frequencies of the sounds and stuff that was in pop music in the 80s was just it was more haunted somehow, was you might say. And I've noticed that, and I've said much of the 90s still have very haunted like Kurt Cobain type stuff. And if you weren't into that, still so much of the other music that was going on through the 90s just still had that sort of haunted stuff. But as it was started wearing thin in the 90s, where we started to see something happen, almost a repeat of what went on in the 60s, where the music died. And we saw that happening in the 90s, where stuff started to come out in the 2000s. And now you see what's going on in the music industry is it's turned into streaming and stuff like Spotify. And there was just an article about this. In fact, who was the name of that Lincoln band artist was at the heart of this article, was talking about how this is also killing music, as much as back in the 80s they were saying in that song video killed the radio star. And the musician from Linkin Park was saying social media and Spotify and these streaming services, and we're telling musicians just prioritize social media, laugh, smile, do a dance on social media, always look happy on social media. And just that sort of haunted music box melody of just the stuff that really captured what was going on in the soul of the generation is just being turned into this corporate sluttery and whoredom, and has killed the soul of helping people through what was haunting. So ironically, the inability to help people through what was haunting by being in touch and in tap with sort of the spooky substratum, the almost, you might say, like sort of the hidden, what's beneath the surface. And one word for hidden often, it just happens to be occult, but the hidden and what's underneath the surface not being tapped into for the corporate superficial. Now the music is just the quarterly fiscal numbers, and that's what defines you. And how much did you smile? How much did the algorithm catch you smiling to where people are tuning in? Now that's going on, and I'm about to have to find my phone charger before I lose this call. I'm on call with Jessica. But anyways, what I wanted to mention real quick here is just what's up with the moon is actually bringing us back to, and there's a lesson and a heartbeat in the moon that's giving me this very thing to talk to you about. Is so much of what we lost out on, and the music is dying from it, and the music is sounding like such shit from it, and it's just, I'm sorry, there's other websites that I follow on YouTube and stuff, and they're like, here's why your music isn't catching on, here's why people aren't watching you, here's why you're just another dying artist who's not going to make it to 2023 or 2033 or 2000, is just, you aren't willing to shuck and jive in front of the camera and hey, look at me, I'm Mr. Great Guy, up in lights, I'm up in lights. It's just, it's horrible, and it's like, that's what you gotta do in social media, kids. It's not about the music, it's about getting in touch with your audience and establishing friendship. And it's not real friendship, though, and it's this false positive, just like halogen lights, like sick halogen lights that make you want to throw up when that's all there is, just constantly, get back to the candlelight, light some candles as you write music in the dark and tap into that haunting stuff. And you don't have to do stuff like form an addiction like Kurt Cobain, etc. That's another great lie-in scandal. It's about, in order to tap into it, you have to become a junkie. That is such a lie. And in fact, the whole problem is we're becoming an even worse type of junkie. And it's the corporate collective junkie, and with how the social media is being abused, and what's going on wrong with that. And now our arms are getting locked off because our veins are getting stopped up, and the veins are very much like the roots. So what's going on with the coercion and the subversion? Is it subversion? Subversive tactics and just subterfuge and all the grossness that's happening from what we're seeing from what can go wrong with Pluto is people hold on to the ego and are trapped deeper and deeper in shadow densities in corporate Capricorn, corporate affairs, collective affairs, driving the collective, driving the infrastructure. Sometimes ruthless. The ruthless sign, Capricorns are known for in their darkest aspects to be the sign of ruthlessness. With frickin' Pluto, the astrological intelligence of coercion and absolute power, which does corrupt absolutely. So that's what that is. That's what I'm here to talk to you about and tell you about. And just Black Moon Lilith is in Cancer. This is tapping off with the moon and Ceres, and it's led to just, I feel it palpable. Just this lull, this moment of rest. Almost I've compared this feeling sometime to almost like, if I can, the logo is right up top, like when Gandalf is one of the most incredible scenes, if I can geek out on you just for a second, one of the most incredible scenes in the Lord of the Rings Peter Jackson movies was when Gandalf was sitting there. Just the quiet moment is Pippin is singing that haunting song, and the Steward of Gondor is just sitting there chomping away, and that's really gross, by the way. But anyway, it's really about where, like, they cut to that scene where Gandalf is just sitting there, like, looking down at the ground, almost like he can hear, almost like he's hearing Pippin's song. He probably is, if he's the wizard, he's probably, like, psychically tapped in or some shit. But, just, we're running out of time. We should be paying attention to Davos and the World Economic Forum, and instead we're paying attention to this bullshit. So, and they're getting richer. Depp's getting richer, and Heard is getting richer too. So you might be like, and I can tell you, you might be like, yes, you know, there's a victory for those who are being just torn apart by woke. And I'm at the top of the list of those who've been torn apart by woke, and I talk about it in Station Mercury. I talked about it right here at YouTube, and I'm just waiting for that to get swallowed up into the ground to where you are not able to hear about it anymore, which might be very soon. So now might be the time to pay attention to a little bit of some of my stuff, hopefully some, and again, my audience's intelligence, and that's what I'm going for, rather than the numbers, rather than those who just pour out in the droves, and just people who just trash talk right under my thread and get in fights under my thread. That's not what I want. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not my catalyst when I roll out of bed in the day, and my purpose, and what drives me. So that's not what I want. I want intelligent people. I would rather have 200, I'm nowhere near 200 yet, but 2 to 20 maybe people who caught my video who are intelligent, rather than 2,000 to 20,000 people who caught my video who are just going to sit there and be know-it-alls and sit there and be smartasses and argue so under my thread and just start shit and not be paying attention to what's actually going on and start shit over depth versus herd. And you might think this is victory versus woke, but this is part of white man's burden. And you know what part of white man's burden is shit like this right here is designed to get us not thinking about Davos and not thinking about Soros and not thinking about all the other gross that's being collected up against us right now, and to keep us talking about this shit right here and to make us feel like it's a small victory. And it's not. It is a small victory for them, as they've already got millions and millions, and it's a small victory for their bank accounts as they write their first-hand accounts in their videos, and they're probably going to release frickin' video games and apps about the Heard trial, where you get to be Johnny Depp first person style and go into the courtroom. Who knows? But they're going to figure out a way to capitalize on it, trust me, and they already are. They were the moment we were hearing that there was about to be a trial like this that was about to start up. And the moon is all about veils, and so this has been a veil. One moment, if you will. Just remember veil. Oh, thank you for giving me that second there. I didn't even put my break screen up, but I'm not really streaming. So there's no need for it. I was just plugging my phone in before I lost charge. The moon is all about a veil, and this whole thing has been a veil, an intentional screen. This is a smoke screen. The whole depth thing has been a very intentional smoke screen for what's really going on, and we are running out of time. Saturn is also time, and Saturn is about to go retrograde now in 2 more days on June the 5th, right after this Mercury in retrograde, and Saturn is time. So we are running out of time, and we are in a hot spot that I've been telling you about, and you need to be paying attention, because I can tell you with some else of what's going on, as much as I said in the last video and it was funny. Don't be, try not being a douchebag and talking about your politics, about ending guns within the first 48 hours of people's family members getting shot up in Texas and in Buffalo and in friggin' now Tulsa in the hospital right after that. And another thing too is what we need right now with this lack of time is a president who's not going on vacation, and Biden just went on vacation again just now. Biden's little comment about 9mm and blown out lungs and shit, clearly losing it again. It's horrible. It's horrible. And Biden is a puppet. I'm not doing that to try to everybody knows by now. How can we not know by now? How can we not see this? But Biden is a puppet, and right now, they just sent Biden on vacation to, much like the Depp Heard trial, get away with a lot more stuff while the cat's away and not paying attention. The mice will play, except for these mice have razor sharp teeth and are worse than 10,000 cats that have rabies. And, you know, as much as we say Biden is a puppet, Biden is a bad guy, Biden is a socialist, Biden is not nice Joe, he's Sleepy Joe, this, that, and the other, right now Biden is being sent away, because you might be surprised how as much as Biden, like, even Obama said, don't underestimate Joe Biden's ability to fuck things up. Obama said this. And while Biden is away, yeah, there's a lot more stuff that is going to be done, just like how we were vacant-minded, is we were all caught by the glitz and the glamour and the funniness and the highs and lows of the Depp and Heard trial, and I wasn't. That's not to be self-righteous, I'm just saying I caught one afternoon of some of the streaming trial, when Johnny Depp was very first talking about his dad. I caught that afternoon, and I didn't even catch a full hour of that. So, is essentially, and one of the reasons I didn't was not to go out and tell everybody I didn't, was because I felt like these were people's personal lives that were going on. It was being televised. You know, this is their personal lives. This is about their marriage and what's going on in their marriage and the heartache, the heartache of it all. And you know, this is two people's personal lives, their personal drama. So I just wasn't that interested in ripping apart and analyzing other people's personal dramas and their personal lives. That's all there is to it. I've got my own personal life that I try to keep away from dramas. And even with stuff that's beyond my control, with a lot of what I've talked about in Station Mercury, I've done a pretty good job of being optimistic. And it's like, which wolf you feed is the wolf that wins when it comes to that whole the white wolf versus the black wolf. That you know, if the white wolf is noble, chivalry, virtuous, truth telling, and the black wolf is selfishness, corruption, greed, depravity, debauchery, and just acting, you know, all out, succumbing to your own shadow, and then thinking you own the trickster, etc., etc. And the trickster is just another word. Trickster or jester energy is just another word for the clown. I call the clown on Station Mercury, and so yeah, if you haven't listened to Station Mercury, here's another invite. I invite lots of times, and I'm about to get back to Station Mercury eventually, and really give it my all. But I'm also I am working on other stuff, and it's good to be working on other stuff and looking ahead to some beautiful times to come. So I'm really happy about beautiful times to come with my Jessica. So that's the main number one focus. Jessica, I tell her she's my focus and my center, and that's true. That's the way it is. So yeah, you've heard it here. And speaking of the white wolf and the black wolf, and which is the one that you win? Which is the one that wins? Was what someone asked a shaman or a mystical healer, storyteller, tribal type, and that was a story. Is which wolf wins? And it's the wolf that you feed. Was spoiler alert? It's the wolf that you feed. Between the virtuous wolf and the wolf of just shadow and depravity. So that, and the reason I mention that too is because the wolf is always waxing and waning. The wolf has that chaotic ebb and flow, just the sine wave. So the LFO envelope. So yeah, it's just that's the thing, is I'm feeling this right now. Tonight it feels like it's like a silence. It's a silence, like when Gandalf was just sitting there before the gates of Osgiliath were thrown open. And it's really weird too, because I thought of that when I was watching Stranger Things. And spoiler alert, a minor spoiler alert, but there's minor. This isn't going to mess things up if you're watching it and haven't seen it yet. But just there was a moment. There was sort of almost like a probably this was inspired by that scene when in Lord of the Rings there was a moment where there was something like gates being thrown open and sort of something like no matter what comes through that gate, stand your ground. So yeah, it's a lot like that. I feel like that tonight. So the theme of this video is that what I just said with the wolf and whichever be very focused and keen on razor sharp mind, the razor sharp sword of your intellect, focused and keen upon which you're feeding, which wolf you're feeding. So what are you stocking up? Which castle, which tower are you stocking up? You know, the thinking about the tower is another sort of Lord of the Ring, little bit of a reference right there. So is just that, and stand your ground. Something is coming through the gate June 5th. And then, like I was saying, and that it is over here. I'll just show you this one more time. I tapped on it the last time too. Is this it? Yeah, that is it. Good. I found it. I didn't even. Normally, I label this stuff, and this is one that I snuck in and I didn't label it because I sort of did it last minute. September 10th is that pops off. While Saturn is still retrograde, and Saturn goes retrograde on June 5th, and the gate's about to open, and no matter what comes through that gate, stand your ground. So the thing is, when it comes to this, a lot of us had more time to prepare. And what's going on at Davos and WEC, even what's going on, a lot of what's happening with Russia and the Ukraine, even though there's people literally who are dying and being incinerated right now, that's almost as much of a distraction too, which is horrible to say and think about. And like I said, that's going on the world stage. I was saying on something else around here about there was one of the main. He's a well-respected military retired way high up person, and was saying something about I can't remember the name right now or what his position was before he retired. Sorry, but what he was saying is just this is supposed to be talking about Russia, Ukraine. This is supposed to be a worldwide, global focused relief effort being conducted. At which point I said conducted. Conducted requires a stage. A conductor requires a stage with a vast array of instruments filling out that stage and their players, the players of the instruments, to come up and then coordinates everything so that those in the audience can believe in something and be enchanted by something and enthralled by something, and that creates a mystical hypnosis, an enchantment. So all this is very relevant, and if you don't like astrology, that's perfectly fine. If you don't get astrology, that's perfectly fine. I am here for you. That's exactly who I'm here for. It's not people who. This is not superficial astrology. This is astrology not for pussies. So basically what we want to look at is just how even the Russia and Ukraine thing is being used to distract us and pull us underwater with that ebb and flow, how the moon affects the water. It's like an undertow that we're being pulled under with the tidal currents that are getting bigger and bigger and more magnetically set off that sine wave that I was talking about. So be very hyper focused right now on what wolf you're feeding, the chivalry virtuous or the the depravity and the debauchery, or the self gratification and self preservation is the two-pronged priority. So because what's going on right now in the world with the staging is because what they're saying is we've already made it so militias can't form. We've already made it so militias can't form. So quit being assholes out there and just give us the assault rifles. And look what just happened in Canada with the handguns. And I know it seems like now I'm contradicting myself because I said don't be douchebags and don't talk about it. And I will talk more later, but I will leave it at that. I'm sure right now good intelligent people, fairly high IQ people are connecting these dots for themselves right now and don't need me to sit there and talk about that particular stuff. And as time goes on, I will talk more, but right now it's militias can't even form up. So why don't you just quit this little thing you've got going on and just hand us all the rest of it? You know, we've got you by the balls already. That's what's happening. So yeah, it's serious heavy duty stuff. And what I'm looking at with this right here says serious heavy duty stuff. The theme of this is serious heavy duty stuff. The theme of this is no matter what comes through this gate. And this is a wide open moon gate with Pluto in retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. We are staring down the barrel of more than a double barrel loaded gun. So speaking of that, and isn't that ironic? The whole thing about taking guns is us staring down the barrel of a great big invisible interdimensional loaded gun. So that right there is freaking something to think about. So that's something to not just think about, but as we're looking towards, that's something to act on. So even if you don't agree with astrology, that's fine, because even Christians don't agree with other Christians. Baptists don't agree with Methodists. Methodists don't agree with Lutherans. Lutherans don't agree with whatever else. Branch Davidians or something or other, Seventh-day Adventists. I don't know. So, yeah, if you don't agree with astrology, that's fine. I use astrology because I survived a lot of cults, and to me, astrology was something scriptural that was used to find Christ. And Christ even says in the scriptures, the very people who are supposed to be at this wedding aren't showing up. So go out into the streets and invite everybody. And I know in my heart what that means is go out and invite people to be aware of what's going on in the world, and to have good hearts and know what's going on, and to be good people, and to do what it takes to develop their souls and cultivate their souls and have the good soft soil for the living word, the living cosmic high vibe logos, where, like it says too in the Bible, like men will start to ascend and become as the angels. And we are here to put fire in the earth, the fire of the kingdom, the spiritual kingdom, in a spiritually blind and dulled out, mocking shadow world, which is run by the dark lord, basically. It's the dark kingdom, kingdom of grossness, sickness, and materialism. And your bank account, sell out to the hologram, like I said in the last one, even though it's not a real ship and it's falling apart. Sell out to the hologram as long as it's got a fat bank account number attached to it. So, the whole go out and invite anybody. Now is the hour, especially, of go out and invite anybody, including astrologers. Stop freaking judging people. Stop having an ego. Now is the time to go out and invite anyone who will listen and figure out what's going on, because right now what is being said is you can't even militia up to defend your families, so just go ahead and give up the assault rifles, etc., etc. That's what's going on. All of this is being staged right now. All this is staged. And you think, based on what we already know about what's gone in the world, that they're not going to stage something where schools get shot up? We're talking about kids being pulled away because the proper WHO mandates aren't being followed the right way. So, you saw what went on in China when the proper WHO mandates weren't being followed the right way, where people, look what's going on with people crawling out. This currently in the news right now, look what's going on with people in China crawling out of apartment stories that go tippy 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 top. We're talking over 20 stories and shit like that, and they are making ladders to climb out. So you cannot tell me that all this going on is not staged. You cannot tell me they wouldn't kill kids in elementary schools to get an agenda to concretize and happen in the world, because that's exactly what's up. So yeah, it's and very much also having to do with stage and being conducted instruments and players on a world stage. Is that something that has to do with moon too? Because the moon is a revealer, and the moon can be harnessed as a deceiver and a veil maker and an enchanter. So right now we see this popping off, and the fact that I can say that is huge. This moon opposition right before Saturn goes retrograde is, I'm glad that I was able to even learn about this stuff. I went in deep and I learned about this stuff, and I paid a heavy, heavy price, and I bled. I bled to be able to bring this stuff to you. So this is not astrology in the normal traditional sense that you see with horoscopes. And how can I get shit for me? Is my lover doing this or that and the other behind my back? Is my relationship gonna fail? And all that stuff. It's not that kind of stuff. So this is major alchemical world soul astrology. That's why I say it's astrology, not for pussies. So yeah, but I will leave it at that. And if I talk about this more later, cool. If this just ends up being exactly what was needed, then this is what was needed. And yeah, we're running out of time. We are running out of time. And again, I will say it one last time, is no matter what comes through that gate, the true among us, patriots and the good-hearted souls, stand your ground. Stand your ground. You are under attack, hardcore heavy. You are having your heads lopped off and bit off. Just stand your ground. And we're really going to see some shit hit the fan by September to October 2nd. So, if you can, get ready with a storehouse. I would say even get ready with a storehouse. Get ready with supplies. And by the way, yes, it is true. The Russia wasn't just saying this. This wasn't just spokesmen of Russian celebrities. It's happening because of the nature of the proxy shit that's gone down. And I said this actually on a Russell Brand video, and no one paid attention to me, which is fine. World War III did already officially start, because Russell Brand was basically sitting there saying, did World War III start? As he points out his articles and stuff. I don't really so much point out articles as I do the interdimensional stuff here, and I do this I guess I'll show you this just one more time. This is one of the latest things. This is me. This is my build. This is what I do. Is I build. I don't really cite articles. I do astrology, and I use tuning forks, my whole set of tuning forks, very intentionally, as well as the arts that you're seeing here, audio, visual, and the crystals, and other things, all blended together in a unique alchemical synthesis, so I can tap into what's going on in the world in ways that are very extrasensory, perception-y type, Montauk-y stuff. Very, very 1980s type, underneath the surface haunted stuff. Sorry, I had to do that. But anyway, I hope you thought that was funny. Maybe a couple out there who are seeing this thought that was funny. Jessica will think it's funny, I'm pretty sure. So, anyways, yeah, so let's take care. Let's be prepared. Do what you can to be prepared. Yeah, so that's it for now. That's it for tonight. All the best. One more thing, really, for real, one more thing, is just, you have outlets to get a hold of me. That PayPal up there, that email, that's an outlet to get a hold of me. So if you need to get a hold of me about, if you're at your wit's end and stuff like that, and you think what I do is legit, besides just citing news articles, you think what I do goes beyond that, and there's something legit to what I'm doing, and you feel that you need an ally in the extrasensory stuff that you feel like you've been ripped off from, and you've been fluoridated and dulled down against, then by all means use that email, and we will figure out some sort of a custom thingamajig, package, interdimensional. Yeah, we will figure out what it takes. So, and you won't be left hanging. So it's a public service. It's not a free public service because of the nature of everybody would take up all my time, and what goes into it. I've done it as free in the past, and you can still get hurt because the stuff is real, and I take it very seriously. As I open up gates and stuff like that, there, you can get hurt. You can get hurt if you rent out your sort of spaceship to other people. Almost like if I could use a Star Wars. I'm not real hot on Star Wars right now, considering they're calling a bunch of their fans racist, even though a bunch of their fans aren't racist at all and have been hurt by the real racism that's going on in the world. So, what can you do though? But anyway, it's like Han Solo opened up and rented out his spaceship to people who he didn't know he was going to what was going to happen, and Han Solo didn't know the cargo, and Han Solo almost got hurt. So isn't that funny? So if I can use another euphemism, a little bit abstract thinking there. So yeah, and it is worth it. But yeah, it's not free because I can get hurt. I'm not going to charge a shit ton, but I do charge. So I'm effective in what I offer. So it's not hoaxy. It's not a game, and it's not me cutting and running. You will see the work as it happens real time right in front of your face. So anyway, enough. I've once again, I'm going a little bit over what I intended to do. And again, take care. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.